Hey, Rolando, Eddie, question.
What?
Do you guys have a favorite Greek myth or a favorite like character or story that you just think really works for you?
I don't really know too many Greek myths
Okay.
outside of Disney's Hercules.
So I guess then by
And
default it's Hercules.
I mean, yeah, because I also know the Kevin Sorbo Hercules. And then I would come to discover that Xena herself was not actually a Greek character.
No. Yeah.
She's just a made up creature person. So,
Yeah. And I think that
Otherwise,
show
Xena would
was
be
like
it.
they were like an amalgamation, I think, of like a bunch of different mythologies, that show, I believe. Okay. Xena. Not Hercules, Xena.
I liked Xena more than Hercules, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. Eddie, what about you?
Well, I always was fascinated about um, Zeus seducing mortals.
That's
I
a
was
nice way of
like,
putting it, seducing them.
seducing mortals, and sometimes he would change them or like transform them into like what was it, a swan? Uh, when he was caught in the middle of a situation and Hera was like trying to catch him in the act. So I really
True.
know. I'm trying to think of anything. I really like the Golden Fleece.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I went through a whole thing of like consuming anything about the Golden Fleece, like movies or any like stories that I can like process as a little kid about the Golden Fleece.
I think that's a
I
movie
like.
too. Like
Yeah,
Jason and
yeah.
the
Jason and the Argonauts,
Argonauts. Yeah,
Argonauts,
yeah, yeah.
Argonauts.
I like the
I know
Trojan
that.
War. That's the Iliad.
The Iliad with Troy, the war at Troy, because that's the
The,
Iliad.
the Trojan War, yeah.
Oh, I thought you said the Children of War.
No, the Iliad is a Trojan
That's
War.
another movie.
Yeah,
The Aeneid is about the founding of Rome, if I remember correctly, right?
I think so. I think so.
And then the the Odyssey is about Odysseus and stuff. But I always prefer the Iliad.
The
more
Iliad's
so
pretty
out
good.
of-
Yeah, yeah. You should read Song of Achilles for sure.
So
So
I
for
keep
me, I
hearing.
feel like this is a very movie answer or movie fan answer, but it's got to be the myth of Prometheus. I think that what's so interesting about the myth of Prometheus too is all the different things you can get out of it and all the different meanings, but how it is so vastly open to interpretation. I feel like I'm getting a lack of response here. So you know the myth of Prometheus?
He found fire. He brought it to man.
Yeah, he stole fire. He was a titan, and he stole fire from the Olympians, because again, there's the earth gods and then the sky gods. And the sky gods completely overthrew the earth gods, who a lot of them wanted revenge, which actually comes into play in today's topic. But yeah, I think Prometheus is so great. I mean, and we get it everywhere from Frankenstein to Oppenheimer. You know, it just kind of has the staying power in terms of what we can learn from it as a society, because that's what's so interesting about Greek myths, is that they're really, really telling about how people work, about how society like works, I think. And I think they're more true than most stories you'll probably ever tell. And they're some of the oldest, which is why they're so fascinating. And they have just this staying power, I think, in our culture. In particular today, we're going to be talking about two versions of a very famous book series by Rick Riordan, which is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Fans of this novel series, I'm sure, will rejoice because we're finally getting to it. And we're going to be tackling the Chris Columbus movie from 2010 and the new Disney Plus series, Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So I guess we should just get right into it.
Yeah.
Let's get into it. Let's do it.
Can't wait.
Let's jump into it.
I'm Nicole,
I'm Rolando.
And I'm Eddie Z.
and this is Remakes, Reboots, and Revivals.
An original podcast.
About unoriginality.
All right, well, next week is Valentine's Day, which also means that it's nearing your guys' anniversary. So happy early anniversary.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I know what the answer is, but do you want to tell the audience the way that you will be enjoying your anniversary this year?
Wait, how do you know what we're doing?
Because you've brought it up so many times.
Have I?
I mean, if it's not what you're doing this weekend, then I guess that's a separate trip.
Technically, that's supposed to be for my birthday, but it's falling closer to the
Oh.
anniversary, so I'm just saying, it's fine. It's for our anniversary.
Oh, okay.
We'll be in Vermont next weekend, in a cabin, getting away from everyone, possibly snowboarding, skiing.
That sounds super fun. Look out for Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah.
No, that's how we will become besties.
If that's what you want, everyone will hate you if that happens because nobody likes her apparently.
I mean, I understand why. She does seem very insufferable. Like, she truly does. But I was on her side on the trial.
You know, they made a whole documentary out of it.
Did they really?
I think it's on Max.
Oh, I gotta check it out. Like, cause that guy was definitely swindling her.
Yeah. I mean, like, he was definitely milking it because it was who she is. If it
Gwyneth
was
Paltrow,
probably
yeah,
me, he wouldn't have. Maybe he would have pursued it, which would have been equally dick, but cool. Well, I hope you guys have a great time in Vermont.
Thank you.
I love it up there, so.
Thank you.
All right, well.
What are you doing for Valentine's Day now that you do have a paramour?
Yes, I will be taking her for a nice dinner. I'm actually going to be making her something from scratch. Hopefully, I'm pretty certain she does not listen to this podcast because she's not into podcasts.
Okay.
She's much more of a reader than she is a listener. Let's say that. By the way, Eddie, she's currently reading my best friend's Exorcism, and she loves it.
God.
So, yes, I could keep her as a girlfriend because she likes my favorite author.
Best book.
But yes, I think I'm going to be making her little pieces of chocolate, something I have not done. I'm not a baker. She is a baker. I'm not a baker, so this might sound minimal to some, but the fact that I'm going to be baking, I think is going to be, something.
Do you consider
for
making little pieces of chocolate baking? Because most people consider that just like, boiling chocolate and then just putting it in mold.
I've never tried to make chocolate from
that's
scratch,
great.
so
That's
this is
great.
new for me.
Wait, when you say you're making chocolate from scratch, do you mean like you're actually cracking open the cacao seed?
Yeah.
Oh, you're doing it from like legit. Don't you need
Yeah, I'm Great British
takes
Baking showing it.
Don't you? You need like a week for it to ferment.
Well, then I'm glad you told me this today. Valentine's Day.
It takes a
to
while for
get,
the
go over that recipe.
for it to ferment. Yeah.
Yeah.
We need to go over that
I
recipe.
did find a recipe, but I think I just glossed over it. So let me read
Nope.
it
Yeah.
again.
It takes a while to ferment, and it smells apparently.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Okay.
Yum.
All good to know, but yeah. And I'll get her flowers and all that stuff.
Hilarious.
It's good.
Do people like flowers? Someone got me flowers for my birthday. I was just
That was
like,
very nice.
It is. It was a nice gesture, but
Nice.
like, I was just like, okay, but now I got to take care of these wilting flowers.
I know, right now. This is like a second job. I think so. Her birthday's also in February, so I'm like trying to, space it all out. I'm going to like take her to see a show and blah, blah, blah.
Blah blah. What show?
It's gonna either be The Connector, which is by her favorite composer, starring Scott Bakula, which you just texted me about today, which is hilarious.
Oh, it's a small
The Star Trek
coincidence.
guy. What a coincidence! Yeah, or the days of
Quantum Leap guy.
Yeah.
But I think he was also on.
Yeah,
Star
he was
Trek.
on Star Trek.
He
one of the
was,
captains
yes, but I
of-
feel like people.
of the original Enterprise on the
Thank you.
show called Enterprise.
See, so, but yes, he's also known for Quantum Leap, or this show called The Days of Wine and Roses. So two of her favorite Broadway composers. She's really into musical theater. So
I thought it was a Scott Bakula show. Speaking of Broadway, wasn't Percy Jackson also a Broadway show at one point?
it was a musical. I don't know if it was ever on Broadway, but I know it got turned into a musical.
Oh, maybe it was off Broadway.
I think so. Yeah, I think like it played a very limited run on Broadway, but like when I say minimal, I mean like 12 weeks.
Okay, so it was like.
Yeah, but it's also like kind of toured the world. I think it was in the UK and they brought it to Japan and stuff. So, but Harry Potter also has a musical that someone wrote about it, and Harry Potter's on Broadway still, even though it's not a musical. Good way to tie in. We should finally get to the topic, right? We're talking about Percy Jackson and the Olympians. Is this a series that anyone has ever read?
No,
I
had not read this series.
actually found the first book. It's like laying like on a beach, on a bench, by the pier,
Oh.
and we were at the beach, and it was just like there, and like there was like nobody around, and
Uh-huh.
I just like, oh, okay, maybe this is a little gift from the gods. So,
God of Chance. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love finding books, but no,
Same here.
I actually want to read the series. Um, I don't know, I didn't catch it the first time around. I know my nephews were very much into it. Um,
Oh, were
yeah,
they?
yeah, and they used to talk about it. So yeah, I said, well, maybe one day I'll read the series. And I heard that the author also has connected with other authors to write other series about different systems of gods from other cultures. So there
Okay.
is something. Don't quote me on this. I may be totally wrong, but I think my friend told me there is something on like the Aztec and Mayan gods. More of
Ooh.
Oh, okay, that could be
more
interesting.
of a different flavor,
That's
really
that's pretty
for
cool.
Latinos. So,
I know that in the book world, people really love this author. And people
Hmm.
really love this series. It's got a pretty big following. This
But
is
not like Harry Potter big.
no, I think Harry Potter is more ubiquitous, which is, but in contrast, Rick Riordan's Percy Jackson series is very like book world focused.
Oh.
I'm sure
Also,
people know of Percy Jackson, but
it's also pretty American, right? I would say that's a big difference. And you could tell the difference in
true.
characters because Percy Jackson, at least from the iterations I have seen, is very dislikable, very much very much of the movie or show. You know what I mean? Which I'm sorry to think is just like I wonder if this is like an American trait because like look at how they made Harry Potter. He was as meek as a mouse.
This is true. Really quick, I just want to share the backstory of why Rick Riordan wrote these. He had been telling his son Haley some bedtime stories. Haley had been diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia, and he'd been studying Greek mythology in second grade. Wow, what a good school. And he asked his father to
Is that
tell
not when
him.
you learned Greek mythology?
I don't remember. I have
Oh,
no
I
I
learned
actually
Greek
memory.
learned
mythology
it.
when I was like in first grade. Yeah.
I definitely learned it in elementary school. It would
Uh
come
huh.
up quite some time, like different things in my classes. But I remember that I was so fascinated by it. The library had like this giant book of Greek mythology.
Yeah, mine did too, and we would like look through it and stuff. It
Wow.
was so cool.
I have terrible recollection of my early years, so they might have. I just it's gone from my brain. So anyway, he would ask his father to tell him stories about the Greek myths, and then when he ran out of myths, his son was like, come up with new stories based on the gods. So he kind of wrote this for his son, which is really
That's
cute.
sweet.
Yeah, it was a 5-book series. He released a new book every year, starting with The Lightning Thief in 2005, and the last one was The Last Olympian. Even though recently he has a new trilogy, a follow-up trilogy, that's currently being released with The Chalice of the Gods and Wrath of the Triple Goddess. So obviously, with the success of Harry Potter going from literature world to movie world, Hollywood was looking to capitalize on this. This was the early 2000s when they were just desperate to make other pieces of literature into successful film franchises. Some of them worked, like Twilight, Hunger Games.
Sure.
Some of them didn't work, like Golden Compass. And
Compass is a great example of what did
yeah,
not work. Yeah.
and
Great show.
good
Not
show. Yeah, I know. Seriously, all of the failed movies in the 2000s are becoming great television shows. I would argue that this was one of them, even though there was a sequel to the Percy Jackson film. It did not do very well.
Yeah,
And
the sequel
neither of the films,
flopped.
it straight up flopped. And neither of
Yeah.
these films were met with much critical praise.
Right. Well, I mean,
Yeah, and also Rick Riordan pretty much like was very, very unhappy with the movie and the direction that it went into. And I think that when Disney finally bought the rights, he was like
well, they came
desperate
to
to.
the rights. Yeah, the rights came when like the merger for 20th Century Fox, right? So like, it was only a matter of time, right? Anything 20th Century Fox that Disney can like reboot, they will. That's why we're getting an Aliens movie. I think this year
Really?
we're getting a movie and a series.
Wow.
Just so you know, and it's like a series. The movie is supposed to be a direct follow up to Aliens.
The Sigourney. What about
The-
Alien 3?
So it would be undoing Alien 3,
Oh my
the
god,
trend
it
in
would be
Hollywood.
a retcon, yeah.
My
Yeah.
favorite, because Alien 3 is so bad.
Damn.
No, not as bad as Alien Resurrection. But anyway.
With Winona Ryder. Yeah, I guess that's a good idea because the other two, because Alien and Aliens are masterpieces.
Yeah.
So-
In their own way, they're each so different, but
Yeah.
they're so good.
They're excellent movies. So I could see, but hopefully, if they're not excellent movies, then to me, I'm fuck it. You know, I don't want to. I will say that Rick Riordan says, if you check out my website, rickriordan.com, do you see any indication that there was a Percy Jackson movie that ever existed? No, you do not. So he was very unhappy with this movie, and he was very involved with the Disney Plus series. So you know.
Oh, was he? Okay.
Yes, I think he wrote some episodes himself. So.
That's interesting.
The stories that happen in the first film and in the first season of this show are incredibly similar. So do we want to do the whole talk about the story, or do we want to talk about the film first and then the show? What do you think works
Yeah,
best?
we could talk about this. We could just summarize the story, and then we can just go about the film and the TV show.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so do you want to give
I'll
it a
go
shot?
into the plot summary. So Percy Jackson is a young kid. How young depends on the franchise that we're talking about. To be determined, I suppose. But teenager, right? And he is living in the city, and he is suddenly attacked by like a creature when he's at like a Greek museum, and that's where he discovers that his best friend at school is actually a satyr, and his mom is just like, oh my god, we had to get you to camp because you are a demigod. And he's like, what's a demigod? But before she can answer, she dies, or so they think, because when he comes to discover is while he's at camp and they're trying to give him all this like exposition. It's just literal. It's always an
all
exposition stuff at camp,
yeah.
right? And to give him some more backstory of who he potentially is, we find out, no, your mom is alive. She's in the underworld, and now you got to go rescue her. And to rescue her, you have to recover the Zeus's lightning bolt that's gone missing, and for some reason the gods think you did it.
Yeah.
And so he goes on a quest to, retrieve the lightning bolt, and more importantly, to save his mother. And that is a summary of Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
Essentially,
a really
yeah.
base summary.
Which,
Thank you.
by the way, the entrance to the underworld is under LA, which is hilarious. I just love that.
Yeah, because there are so many worse places in America that the underworld would be in. Florida,
Yeah.
I think, comes to mind. Right?
I know, it feels
like
like
it's
a
probably
commentary.
Mar-a-Lago at this point.
Maybe. And also, the portal and the entrance to Mount Olympus is the Empire State Building. So
Yes.
a little bit of an East Coast bias there, I think, maybe.
Oh, well, actually, so I had to Google this because I was curious. I asked Eddie, like, why are all the Greek gods hanging out in America? And there was a reason for it. Do you want to know?
Tell me.
I guess it's in the books, and it wasn't really covered in the show or the the movie. But the reason the Greek gods are in America is because the Greek gods gravitate towards whichever Western nation or whatever Western power has the most supremacy. And in this case, this day and age, it is America.
That's so Greek god. That makes
Which,
a lot of
yeah,
sense.
I feel like the Greek gods would do that. They would favor whichever
Who's winning?
nation
Yeah.
would.
is currently like winning at the
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
I guess it's only a matter of time before the Chinese.
Pretty much, yeah.
The Greek gods abandoned us for the Chinese.
So the movie and the show are pretty much like Percy's road of trials by obtaining his ultimate goal, which is to return the lightning bolt so he can get to his mother. But along the way, he has to kind of collect, especially in the film, he has to collect like these. What were they? 4
Pearls. What,
Persephone's pearls.
3 pearls.
pearls. Yes. So he's like obtaining things, and he has to he goes through all these different scenarios to get them. Like in the first instance, he encounters Medusa, who's just chilling at a garden center in New Jersey.
As one does.
As one
right?
does, yes. And the next one, it's actually been a while since I've seen this. I know in the movie it was in Nashville, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, in the movie, they go to Nashville, and he encounters like the Hydra.
Yeah, it was like
I think
it was a replica of the Pantheon, and one of the statues on the crown of the statue was the pearl.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
they staked out and they kind of like hid in the bathroom waited till the museum closed or the landmark closed, and then they retrieved the pearl. But then they discovered that the janitors were actually hydras.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And then, of course, they go to Vegas. Where,
I mean, we always go to Vegas.
yeah, and then what happens literally stays there. So they,
Right.
and then they finally
they
to
lose their
the
time.
portal of the underworld. Yeah, they lose like 5 days.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is because they have 10 days on the solstice, the summer solstice. If Zeus says, if I don't get my lightning bolt back, it's going to be all out war. And Poseidon, it's going to be me and you because he thinks Poseidon took his bolt. So he's like, this is going to happen, and you got 10 days to get this bolt back.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, yes, that's what I forgot in my summary. Percy Jackson is Poseidon's son.
Yes, which is something
Kind
that
of a
was
big deal.
immediately revealed in the film, but not. It's like kind of like, who is his father?
Yeah, you don't find out until
2 episodes, I think.
I think in the end of episode 2 is when we find out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right away in the movie, it's like, hey, Percy, your father built this beautiful thing for you. This little beautiful open cabin concept thing by the lake.
Yeah.
And and he's like looking around. He's like, "Is my dad Poseidon?" And he's like, "Okay, yeah." Figured it out really quick, and that's it. Definitely in the I enjoyed in the. Are we going back and forth? We're doing comparisons, or
Yes. Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So for the show, it was more like the kids have to be claimed. So if in the show it's like in the show it's similar to like having houses in Harry Potter. They're houses by the 12 big gods, right? So you go to the house that your daddy or mommy's from, and you like, and then there's the house Hermes, I think the house of Hermes, and that's the one where, he's the god of travelers. So it's like Hermes kids plus anyone who hasn't been claimed yet. And it seems that you got to do something special. You got to do something big, some form of act of glory to get your godparent, so to speak, to claim you. And that's how you get
Yeah.
it seems like an identity from there.
I think the Harry Potter like similarities is something that helps, but also kind of cripples this series. In particular, the original film, because when the original film came out, that was 2010. I think Deathly Hallows Part 1 was just coming out, and the whole Harry Potter craze was coming to about an end. And the filmmaker of the first, the 2 Percy Jackson movies, was the guy who made the first 2 Harry Potter movies. Yeah. So they were really, really banking on it. And the whole similarity of like a boy who doesn't know he's special, finds out he's special, and then we, along with him, enter this brand new world that exists pretty much amongst us. Like it's on a hidden layer. That's the thing too, is that, these characters that we heard in Greek mythology, they live amongst us, but we can't see them in their true form because, we're not demigods or whatever. We're not special. Right. Very, very similar to Harry Potter. And I think that the timing, other than the fact that the movie, I'm just going to say it right now, it's not very good, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean,
aside from that, though, I think there was just too much similarity to Harry Potter that audiences were like, boring.
Well,
You definitely get that.
So there's a difference, and I think the fundamental difference here, and this is what I think hurts the movie, is that it's a quest story, right? And the quest story doesn't give you time to kind of live with the characters.
Yeah.
Right? To build a relationship with them. Like Harry Potter, each movie, for the most part, they all take place in one singular place, and you're kind of just there. The quest that's happening is within the grounds of Hogwarts, usually, right? Here, you're literally traveling across America. So, like, it feels like so much happens in this movie because a lot does. But as a result, like, you're not really getting a chance to know these characters. They're just kind of going from, like, one adventure to, like, another, right? And I think ultimately that's, like, the big hindrance. Like, that's the difference between Harry Potter and this one. Like Harry Potter being, since it's all like happening in one spot, I feel like it gives you time to like kind of just like learn where we are and kind of build a mythology that way. Where here we're just like on like a roller coaster ride of like
It's true. It's true.
you know, and I think that's kind of one of the biggest hindrances for sure in the film, that I think even the show to some degree also suffered from, because he was at camp for like an episode.
He was.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, this is like Harry Potter. This is not, because what he has no training.
Yeah, so
He's just
the
going.
interesting thing
They just send him
to do with this was that in the show, he was already raised with all the mythology stuff. So his mom made it a point to educate him on all these gods, the adventures. So he already had a foundation on when he entered this world that all these stories were real, right? So you automatically connect. He knew what this was, he knew what that was, and he was able to like adjust very quickly, you know. The other thing with the movie is, and also you have 10 days. It's like only 10 days. So you have 10 days to get all this shit, get your shit together and figure this all out before this mega war happens with the gods. And with the movie, uh usually don't call I just didn't like the main character, the actor, or the way he was portraying this particular character, Percy.
Same.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
just felt there was some moments where it was just kind of flat. I mean, he thought that his mother was dead, and it was like it didn't get the same.
Oh, yeah. It was just, he did like batted eyes,
Yeah,
just
it
be like,
was like,
oh man,
it
whoa.
wasn't a dream. My mom's dead, and let's move on.
It's
You
just
know,
like,
I didn't
Yeah.
get the heaviness. The the little boy in, you know, because there's different ages. You had the in the movie he was, you know, he seemed like he was at least 15 years old,
yeah.
and the other one it felt like he was 12 or 13. You know,
Which in the books he's
yeah. In the
12.
series, in the Disney series, I just felt like he like when he found out his mom died, like he it was the character was heavy about it, you know. So that's when
Yeah.
there was no when he found out I can save my mom, there was like no doubt, like I'm gonna take this on. It all it felt natural and organic of him taking on this mission compared to the movie. I felt the movie was like pushing the character to each.
Agreed. It
Yeah.
felt like it was focusing way too much on comedy and like moments where the characters are like, "What? Whoa!" Like more reactionary instead of
Oh.
actually emotional.
1,000,000% true. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think also it just all of the characters were caricatures. You know, it's of course like I said with Harry Potter too. It's two guys, one girl, all on a mission, and it's you got your hero, you got your really pretty smart girl, and then you kind of got your buffoon. And it really, really kills me that they made Grover the way that they did in the movie because he was way too humanistic for a satyr, in my opinion, and way too cartoonish, and also kind of like way too token black character. Like they treated
Okay,
him
I'm
that
glad
way.
someone said it. It's true.
They really
It
did.
is like it was like a 90s caricature of
Yeah.
like a black character, like the token
like-
black Fred.
kind of borderline racist.
I like the look of the actor playing this role. Like, you know, how you know, I think the funny thing about the satyr that he hinted about is, you know, satyrs, you know, they get this rep that they're super horny all the time. So it's always like looking for the one you know, the one conquest after another, or hooking up here and there. So you did get that vibe that this was a sexual person. Compared to
Yeah.
the three, this was a sexual person. And I just
I don't know why we needed that vibe, but yeah, we did get that.
but the funny thing is, from what we understand from the mythology of satyrs, that's what they do. They seduce. They seduce and hook
Yeah.
up. Their very essence, their the energy that they put out is sex.
Yeah,
Oh,
they are sometimes shown masturbating or engaging in bestiality. That's like literally on its Wikipedia, which is
Are they engaging? How can they be engaged? Aren't they beasts of some sorts? You mean that they're humans are engaging bestiality with them because they are half goat? The
no,
point
no.
being
This
here,
is satyrs. They are often attempted to seduce or rape nymphs, and they are
okay.
shown masturbating or engaging in bestiality. That's what happens when you click on them in Wikipedia.
I
That's what
know,
it
but
says.
like they're animal, they're half animals. So like, is it bestiality?
I wouldn't say they have just because they have those characteristics, but they're still their own,
Yeah.
you know?
Which is yeah. So because I watched the TV series and then I watched the film as I usually do, right, in reverse. And so I actually it made me miss the new Grover, right, because I think there was something so like adorable about how kind of like meek he was that kind of made this character feel more organic to the story in terms of like the friend group, right? Like there was like a sweetness to him and kind of like more like an earthiness to him that this one just did not have. And for some reason that portrayal resonated with me more so than like the hypersexual, like more adult satyr and stuff. Despite the fact that I think Eddie's right, like usually when we think of satyrs, we do think a little bit more sexual. Like the first thing that I think of when I think of satyrs is actually Danny DeVito because of Hercules.
Yes, yes.
You know, that's my favorite satyr. But you could, but look at his portrayal. He's very rascally. He's very very sexual. So yeah, you know.
Yeah, so I felt the movie one that I felt like there was potential. I mean, I think there was a way of adding these different um aspects of the character. But there were moments where it went really left on being the joke,
Yeah.
the guy that had to make a joke, or taking things to kind of the extreme in that way. Well, in the series, Grover felt sometimes a little serious, a little too serious. Too.
Yeah.
Technically, he was an adult. He was 20 something years old in satyr years, like in as a
Yeah.
satyr. But and also he had a very important job. He was a protector, and his thing was to protect demigods and help them transition from their mortal life and getting them to camp and recognizing who they are. So he had this kind of serious job that was very important. And then the other element of is their god Pan is missing. So every satyr has this kind of hunger to help find Pan, to help, where did Pan go? And so satyrs, one of their things is that some of them take on the mission of going forth and searching for Pan.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of Grover's desires. So I think that gave like the character a nice little dimension to him. Um, and he definitely was the one that figured shit out for them, you know.
Yeah. And I agree that maybe there could have been a balance between the two Grovers. One was overly comical, one was a little bit too serious. Which is interesting because I think the Disney Plus series overall is more serious in its tone, and in some ways it benefits it a lot. I think also the Disney Plus series has a little bit more of a familiarity with these characters, where again the movie just feels like caricatures. And
Yeah.
I never finished the series. I know you guys did, so you could probably talk more about certain points than I can. But a big example of this is Medusa. The
Okay.
movie does not portray her as anything but a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a character, what we think of when it comes to Medusa. But I think a lot of people who are into Greek mythology have a lot of pity for this character of Medusa, especially because she was not born a Gorgon. She was turned into one.
Correct.
And so this
After
television...
she was raped, by mind you,
Yeah.
she was raped, and then as punishment for her being raped, she gets turned into a gorgon. So let that sink in on you. All right, they did not touch upon that in the Disney Plus series. I was kind of, I thought it was just like, ooh, maybe they're gonna be risque and kind of like hint at it, but no, they did not.
Yeah.
Shame on you, Disney.
She's definitely
Cowards.
one of those stories that are just begging to be retold, I think. But you actually have a moment in the series where even though they have to, at the end of the day, spoiler alert, behead her in order to continue on with their quest. This is part a big story beat. You actually spend time with her and you talk to her. And she takes them into her house and she, like, has a conversation with them. Instead of just taunting them from the moment she, you know... They don't even... They find out that they're Medusas and then they start running frantically for their lives in the movie.
They try to negotiate. She tries to negotiate with them, actually, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, she saves their lives and then gives them almost an ultimatum.
And
they chose not to take it.
You understand, too, why she's seeking to harm these children. You know, the place she's coming from. I mean, this is someone who is so hurt from her past, particularly at people like Athena, who, you know, when it comes down to it, Athena sucks, man. Athena is not cool. She is messed up, which brings us to the character of Annabeth, who's the daughter of Athena. And I think that this Disney Plus show actually shows a more realistic side of what it would be like to be the daughter of shitty-ass Athena, which is like, you might have some trauma.
Yeah.
You need to work on.
I mean,
because at the end of the day, gods are selfish and gods like to toy with us and they are cruel. They're wicked. The fates are cruel, you know?
And that's a point that keeps getting across more so in the Disney Plus series.
Yeah.
That gets like very surface level touched upon in the film at the very end.
Absolutely.
Where that's the gods being cruel, gods being selfish, gods not understanding what family means is something that is constantly weaved throughout the TV show to kind of better illustrate that point. And it also kind of helps build that idea of found family between these three children as the show progresses and stuff, right?
Yes.
So, yeah.
And what were you going to say, Eddie?
There is that interesting aspect that you just brought up is family trauma. That's been played out. You talk about these gods being cruel, but then you look at their parent and Kronos and how cruel Kronos was to them, you know, and so forth and so forth. And interesting thing is, they're here multiplying and they're like creating all these demigods throughout the centuries. And this trauma continues to be passed on in one level of another. These are all kids for the series. These are all kids, right?
Yeah.
Who've experienced kind of a sense of abandonment from their parents, especially being abandoned and not being able to fit in their mortal, knowing that they're different in some way, and then this need to escape their and go to safety because they're going to be hunted. Once they find out, once you get clocked as a demigod, you're being hunted, you know? So you have like this just trauma. There's just trauma going on. Totally, it's an excellent, can be more of a serious show in that sense. You know, this is aimed for like a different age group.
Tweens, we could assume.
But I did find it interesting for the movie, which I liked, was the camp wasn't just filled with kids. It was different ages. So you had adults and you had kids living in this camp and training in the camp, which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, kind of makes sense. Like this is generational. But in the series, you just have kids of a certain age. There were a lot of kids. I'm just thinking about there must have been a god baby boom at some point. Thousands.
Seriously,
they were just walking around, just impregnating because there are so many of them.
I believe it. The gods are whores at the end of the day, too. So
you know, and and not being responsible for these kids is another thing too.
Just to piggyback off of what you're saying, Eddie, too, in terms of like family trauma, that's very present in the Disney Plus show when it comes to Percy and his lack of a father figure.
Right.
Not knowing who his father is. You know, he doesn't find out that Poseidon is his father for the first 2 episodes. And it's so important for him to do all of these different things because he wants to impress his father. And that is something that is not really touched upon in the movie. Percy is just very passive about like his place in life, and I don't know. What do you guys even feel about his relationship with his mother in the film?
I mean, you definitely see that in the films. It's different, definitely different. It's not as intense as it is in the series. I think it's more. It's in the series you have the mother as the center, more center in Percy's life, more of an influence too. This is really almost. I mean, she a single mom raising this kid, knows that he's special, knows that he's struggling because he has like, according to society, he's like, what does he have? He has
ADHD and dyslexia.
And dyslexia, yeah.
And we later found out that's all about what it is to be a demigod, because your mind is set to read ancient Greek, so English doesn't seem to comprehend, and your blood aches for battle. Your blood aches to be out there and fighting and being on a quest. So you just can't stay still.
Yeah.
So
that's how they explained it away.
Explained it away. I think it made sense. I think it was
no, it did. Actually, I did like that. Like that was something that we didn't really see in the series, right? Like, or we got a glimpse of it. You said, Eddie, but I don't remember it. So, but they didn't like touch on it. So that's the thing. There were some touches in the film that I did appreciate over the series. And that would be like one of the examples, and they're really minor and stuff. For the most part, like the movie was so forgettable. Like outside of Annabeth looking like Xena, right? That's the only thing about the movie that I can remember. Like, oh my god, look, she looks like when she was wearing the armor, just like she looks like Xena with her dark hair and stuff. Yeah. But Annabeth in the series was so tiny but so badass. And that made her like so cool, I think, in my opinion. Like it was just like what a interesting, stark difference. You know,
in the movie she was kind of bland.
Yeah, and they were like really, really building up that like kind of
definitely had
the romance a little bit, right? Like
yes, of course,
like Percy's like crush on her, where in the TV show it's only hinted at ever so slightly, but it's also like kind of brushed away really quickly when they start realizing maybe we work better as friends, right? So it never turned, like their friendship never crossed that line of like, do they like each other, do they not, right? Unless I'm forgetting something, Eddie, right? They never kissed her, yeah, right?
No. I really felt like it was more like
which is good.
Being like
they're 12,
yeah, so. Which I'm absolutely okay with, right?
That's probably one of the things Rick Riordan was just like, come on, why can't they just be friends?
Yeah.
One of the things in the movie. What do we think about all the different cameos in both? Like, there were so many big names in the first one, and then there's some surprising people that showed up in the Disney Plus.
Yeah, we had Lin-Manuel Miranda as Hermes. We had Megan Mullally as one of like the
Electo.
I forgot what she was. What, like one of the harpies or something?
She's one of the three Furies.
Oh, that's it. One of the Furies. The Uma Thurman as Medusa.
Yes.
In the film.
Pierce Brosnan as Chiron.
Right. First, wait, I just want to just point out. Pierce Brosnan, at the end of the film, he has the audacity to say, that's why you're my favorite student. It's like, he was here for like 20 minutes. How is he your favorite? That's why he's your favorite student? Because you didn't have to take care of him? Like, talk about trying to build him up to be fucking like, now I was going to say Gandalf. Who was the teacher that Harry loved?
Dumbledore.
Like, you know, they were really trying to make him a Dumbledore here. Just like this was an utter fail on that one. But no, I mean, I actually was wondering that.
Rosario Dawson.
Uh-huh. Which I was okay, like cool. She betrayed Hades at the end, I guess.
Yeah, she attacked Persephone as if like she's just playing herself. I felt like she was just like very, very New York kind of Persephone vibe, which I was like, okay, that's fine.
Is it fine? She's been there it's been 2,000 years.
I know,
At
right?
least. Like,
They're also like
No.
20th century. It's
More than
pretty
2,000
well, the
crazy.
gods
years.
roaming around the earth, that makes sense, right? Because they're roaming around Earth, so they're hanging out in America. So that
Yeah.
makes that tracks. And I think you get a little bit more glimpses of that, like in the in the
And the
Disney Plus series, right? Because like you see them actually like interacting with humans, or not interacting with humans, but just like living life in America and stuff, like right, like Hermes drives a car, et cetera, et cetera.
yes,
Lanston Rickon.
Lance Reddick played Zeus,
Yeah,
which is
he
unfortunate.
plays-
He won't play it in the second season.
Yes, right. He passed away last year.
Yes, last year.
Right, last year. Yeah. So, what do you think of like? What did you think of Zeus in general? Like, here's my beef. I think ultimately with both of these is that like Zeus's entire beef made no sense. Like he just jumped to conclusion after conclusion.
That's
in
so
both of these.
Zeus, though.
I guess that's true. Like maybe that is true. Like
And he
about-
doesn't care. He just
about
wants his
Zeus.
lightning bolt back. Yeah.
So he's just willing to sacrifice the world, being like, someone stole my bolt and I accuse you. And then, without any proof, mind you, Greeks were the ones that brought us democracy. But like there was no accountability here. Like fucking poor Percy Jackson had to bring the bolt. I think ultimately, like for both of them, for me, one of the biggest qualms I have is just like kind of it starts getting a little muddied at the end. Like who is playing the cards here? And I think Disney Plus did a little bit of a better job in terms of explaining, like, you know, introducing kind of a bigger bad, overarching enemy and stuff, and then like kind of the betrayal with his friend from camp. So
Luke.
those kind of elements worked a little bit better, more so than in the film, because in the film everything's going so fast, right? Like this is a 2-hour film, and they pack so much into it.
Yeah, they really do.
Yeah. So that's it.
Which, you know, if handled a little better, I wouldn't be complaining about anything. They just kind of, again, it all feels very caricature-ish, surface level.
What I did like about the film over the series was the special effects. They were able to implement more of the special effects. It was certain things were visually beautiful, that I thought they were really cool, compared to the series.
Do you have a specific example?
But just the use of the water when he was battling, and Percy was able to manipulate the water, do his water bending thing. I thought that was very cool. Just other things. I think the Medusa. I love them. I don't know. I like
Really?
Uma Thurman's
That's
Medusa better.
interesting. Do you just like Uma Thurman?
I like the snake
Yeah.
thing.
I like
just
the
really
design of her
I'm a big fan of
Medusa.
her. But the design of her snake thing was really cool. Her face, she's so beautiful, but I just felt like
It was very
this is
Poison
Medusa.
Ivy, too.
It was so Poison Ivy. All she needed to do was
Yes.
just wear some green.
Yeah.
Which is,
So
I mean, let's be
love
real.
it.
Who's
I love it.
who's gonna complain about that, right?
Yeah, seriously, Poison Ivy, we love.
We do. We I mean, talk about gay awakening. Like her entrance as Poison Ivy is just forever ingrained in my mind, and it's not until you can like look back and realize like, oh shit, this is definitely like a gay awakening moment. Like she's just stripping in that
Seriously.
monkey outfit, having like these muscular men like carry her down. Like fucking talk about it was so drag without
It was
realizing
so
it.
drag, yeah. I know.
Side note, I don't know why no one has anyone made a documentary on
There-
how this movie has made
There's what's it
That
called?
whole
Someone did
generation
write like a
gay.
book about it was like kind of their gay awakening. This
Ooh.
the Batman and Robin film. And
Wow.
I
Oh,
understand.
definitely. But no, but I did enjoy. I felt like they did some really nice special effects in the movie, which I pretty much enjoyed. I wish the series did have a little bit more. I feel like this whole contrast between the great divine that exists underneath all the mundane of the everyday world would have been nice to explore a little bit more or reveal in some ways.
I agree. So
But,
you guys finished the show as a whole. Do you have like any favorite episodes, or do you just think like Which one did you prefer? I'm gonna assume you preferred the Disney Plus one, but I
Okay,
never finished it, so I feel like I can't really say.
sure. Well, okay, so I'll be honest. Like, I only finished it because Eddie was more into this show than I was, and he kept using the podcast as the excuse for why we must finish it. I'm calling you out. It wasn't necessarily my favorite show, but that's only because I was certainly not the target audience for this.
Okay.
Right? Like, this is definitely skewing a lot younger.
Okay.
And because of that. But it was still like, it's not like, by the end of it, it's not like I hated it, right? I didn't hate it. I didn't dislike it. I didn't love it. But it was certainly, I think, an enjoyable watch. In terms of what might be my favorite episode, I'm trying to actually, it might be the episode when they're in the underworld. I think that episode was kind of like the more visually interesting episode. And we got to see Cerberus. We got to see Tartarus. That's like the pit where the Titans are kept.
Mm-hmm.
And we got to see also, Hades in the show. It was played by
J.
one of the the other Duplass brother.
Yes.
And we didn't get a Persephone in this one. This is the only difference, but yeah, I think that would be the episode that I like kind of the most.
The story took place during spring, right? Like spring, summer?
I think it was still spring solstice. Yeah.
Then Persephone would not be there.
Yeah.
Why?
Because that's why we have seasons. That's the
Because
myth of Persephone. When she is down in hell, we have winter because her mother, who takes care of nature, is sad and does not want to tend to nature without her daughter.
Oh, I so fun.
Very good, Nicole. Very good. 10 points to Ravenclaw.
So I love the myth of Persephone. Actually, I think it's it's up there. It's one of my favorites. But yeah, so technically, that's why we didn't see her.
That makes sense. That would make sense.
I just geeked out so hard on that.
You did. Eddie, is there an episode that you found particularly entertaining or?
I can't think of it. I mean, definitely you get the climax ending episode, which I really much enjoyed. I'm trying to think. Yeah, nothing really.
I will say
really
this much:
out.
the betrayal, because Percy Jackson gets betrayed by another student. That's like the plot. Like he went on this. The thief, the lightning thief, was his friend that he made at camp, right? Mm-hmm. And
Luke.
Lance, I think, was his name.
Luke.
And Luke. And Luke reveals that he betrayed him, and I think the motivations made more sense in the TV show than the one for the film, right? Because in the TV show, it's very much grounded on the fact that, like, yo, these gods are assholes. You see this, right? You know this. Come with me. We can reorder the fabric of the gods because they should fear us, right? Which, and his logic is sound. And because of everything we've seen at this point and, like, how Percy Jackson perceives family, he, it kind of does make you wonder of, like, oh, maybe he should make this. It kind of makes that decision a little harder for him. And I did appreciate that, right? Where when we were watching the film, it kind of was just like, join me, we could be powerful together. And there's just a big action sequence on, like, the Empire State Building, you know.
True.
But
yes.
it was just like kind of just like, it was just like, you know, the final, like, it was like the money shot, right? Like the final battle.
Yeah.
Now, the great thing about this, but I feel like I would love to see it more fleshed out, and maybe this would take place in a certain kind of a flashback, but it's in their divine blood to betray their fathers. Right? It's like they come from parents who have been betrayed by their father, you know, and taken power. So these are children who, in some levels, feel some certain kind of neglect or abuse. And there's some of them. Luke makes sense. Luke makes sense, and, like, you know what? Yeah. Why not? Why not take this power away from them? You know, they are cruel. They use it. I mean, the war that the gods were about to send would have. They said that the last battle that the gods had caused World War II. Right? So you think about the suffering and horrors that took place in World War II, just because the gods
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
got upset with each other. I was saying like this power, they're not responsible. We should take it away from them. So Luke's
Mm-hmm.
motivation makes sense. I wish it could flesh out a little bit more. Maybe we'll see that later on. I didn't read the series, so I don't know if that gets even fleshed out even further. But there is an attraction to what Luke is saying. Like we should take we should take it and
Yep.
we'll be responsible of
Yeah.
it.
Yep. Agreed.
You know.
I mean,
But yeah.
this does make me want to read the books, I'll tell you that. But I'm really into Greek mythology. You know, that's something that is relatively new in my life and something I would love to explore more in a literary field.
Yeah. I mean, it's so interesting because I'm realizing it's just like Greek mythology is something you don't see a lot anymore in media that much, right? Like you don't see really any movies with
You
like
get little references and stuff,
But
but
that's the whole thing. We
yeah,
replace Greek mythology
yeah,
with
like
superheroes.
but I meant like
That's
but I'm sure
what
people
we
do want to
have.
see like an actual like. No, I don't want to see. Well, I mean, we're getting a Hercules movie, aren't we? That's in the works, like a Disney Hercules, though.
I
But
think so. But like,
I want to.
there's so many Oh Brother Where Art Thou is the Odyssey essentially, right?
Yeah, I meant like I want to
there's
see like an actual legit Greek film.
like legit takes okay.
Like
I know. Did you ever see Troy?
I saw. Of course, I've seen Troy. I am okay with Troy. I like, and also the Immortals comes to mind, right? So there's been a
Yeah.
few big blockbusters that have tried to do the Greek thing, but I guess it's like not the safest bet.
Maybe.
But
I wonder. Yeah, I wonder why.
I'm guessing that's what it is, right? But at the same time, though, like, how do you guys feel about seeing like the Greek gods in a modern setting? Like, is that something more that you wish Hollywood could explore, or do you
No,
guys prefer
I
to see
do
them?
kind of want like a series version of the Iliad, kind of a thing. Like I
Oh, see,
want
that could make a good series.
That
in
would make a
theory, right?
great
Like that would make
series,
it like
yeah.
like a nice HBO Max original series on just like the Trojan War, fucking Oscars galore, Emmys. But I will say this. Oh, this is one thing that reminds me. There was something I did like about the visual elements that Disney Plus's series kind of try to incorporate in the show, and you should mostly saw it in the credits. But it was like the Art Deco look and kind of making that synonymous with the gods. And for some reason,
Yeah.
I think that works so well for me. Like from a design standpoint, it's just like for some reason there's something so majestic in Art Deco, and it's just like of course the gods would love this like style. It's so ostentatious, and it's like if I had the money like that, I would love to live in an Art Deco house. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, I second that. But yeah, overall enjoyable stuff here. So
Yeah. I was like I said, it wasn't necessarily my favorite show, but I'm not also like I don't think I was a target demo for this one, but I think it was still it was a nice watch. I liked it. It came out. I did hate the young guy who played Percy Jackson very early on, and then by
In the
the end he
movie?
kind of like in the TV show.
oh,
I wasn't feeling him.
he was a little complaining in the beginning, but
He was very whiny. Let's be
yeah.
very real here. But
He was.
He kind of pulls it. He pulls out of it by the end and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I think they did a good job of like kind of creating a nice harmony between the three main characters of Annabeth, Grover, and Percy. So I really did enjoy it. I thought the ending was a little corny, right? Because the very ending, they're just like, let's all meet here in like a year, and like no matter what happens, it'd be like, this isn't Hogwarts. You don't need to come back in a year. Like,
Yeah. It's like the ending of Goblet of Fire, but they're saying literally the exact same thing.
after their student just died. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. They want they but you see it's the whole thing about being the ideas of quest and making pact with people. Like to solidify something in the future, a motivation for them to get together because they found each other. Percy's gonna go back to the normal world, the mortal world where people are not gonna get him and they're not gonna stand him or know him truly the way
Yeah.
Annabeth and Grover do. So so I don't understand why would you need to go back to the mortal world. I mean, to be with his mom, definitely, but I would stay at camp. I'm much
So
cooler
we just
there.
talked about the Goblet of Fire. There is a TikToker that I follow. I forgot her name, but I don't know, Nicole. I don't know if you've seen this on Instagram, maybe. But she is reading. She's never seen the Harry Potter movies or read the books, so she's reading the books for the first time, and she's like filming her reactions, like her
Recording
reactions,
her
like
Oh, I
as
gotta
they
experience.
see
go along,
this.
and they are so genuine and so pure. She's screaming when like there's twists and stuff, and like the one where the rat turned out to be the enemy. She's just screaming like the rat. It was a rat all along. Oh my god! Like,
Yeah.
she is such a joy to watch. Yeah, I'll put her in the show notes, guys. I highly recommend her content. She's like, I think she's a book talker, but like I think she's very much like a fun like book talker. She's not taking it seriously. She's just enjoying reading and just reading with passion and stuff. So I love.
that.
We were talking about Harry Potter. Just reminded me. Like I just sent Eddie a video today. Of, like she's reading right now, Goblet of Fire, right? So she's trying to like predict she's halfway through the book, and she's trying to predict like who put his name in the Goblet of Fire, right? So she made us a chart of her thoughts,
Oh,
which is
that's so
great.
cute.
And you look at the followers because like no one's trying to spoil anything for her because it's just like, oh, this is so lovely, like seeing a person enjoy this book series for the first time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cute. Yes, I definitely want to see this. So send it to me.
Yeah, recommend.
right,
That's it.
guys,
You guys want to
well-
do a quick? Oh, I'm gonna say, do you want to do a quick lightning round? We could do a quick
Sure, if
lightning
you
round.
want.
I'll just go with like I'll make it like super quick. All right, we're gonna start this off. A Zeus lightning round. Get it? Because he's Zeus. Okay, we're gonna go. We're gonna kick things off with Grover. Any preferences?
Yeah, Disney Plus, 100%. He's more fleshed out. He works more.
Yeah.
I think the actor is adorable.
Yeah, there's a motivation.
Okay,
There's
I agree. I think the
there's more
Disney Plus
motivation.
one for sure. What about Annabeth?
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
She's more complicated, more complex. There's a little bit more
She
to
was.
her.
Eddie.
I love the Disney Plus one. I did like the actress that they chose for the movie.
She looked like Xena.
I did
You
like
saw
her
and you
look
looked- Xena.
for her. Yeah, totally like to be. I did like that they were a little bit older compared to little kids
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the Disney Plus
so
show.
wait, but you picked
I did.
Dis-
No, I picked as acting for this character.
Yeah,
I
I
think
would
the
go
Disney
also
Plus.
Disney Plus. Okay. Zeus.
Zeus,
Nicole,
really?
you may not have seen Zeus
Yeah,
yet.
I can't really tell.
Okay,
you guys
so you're
can.
yeah, Eddie, you're Zeus.
I don't know.
I think I like the movie one a little
like
bit
the
better
movie
too.
one. He
It
was,
was- he was so dramatic.
unreasonable. It was just like Poseidon was like, I didn't take
Yeah.
it.
And
It's like
so
what
like
your kid
mind you,
did.
you can open a door. You know how you can
Kid
open a
did.
door?
It's like,
What does Zeus do? He blows up the door and it walks through.
Oh yeah,
It's just-
He's so extra.
he blows up
yeah,
the
and I love that
door.
about him, and I
To walk
am here
in.
for it. So I will go with also the film version. Lance Reddick played it too safe in my opinion. Like, no, not even safe. Like too normal.
We have enough time.
Yeah,
I don't know.
you're right.
He had like 5 minutes.
We got more with the other one. Percy's mother.
Oh, Disney Plus, 100%. Great. I loved her.
Interesting. Eddie. Oh, okay. I think I'm gonna
Yeah,
go.
same thing.
For some reason, the movie would. I don't know why.
I like
think I
Catherine
liked her a little
Keener,
bit.
but I don't think this was her role.
And I think I just preferred this mother over the Disney Plus one. And then finally, oh wait, not finally. I'm sorry, Poseidon. Nicole, you got to see Poseidon in the film, but not yet in the show.
Not really a
Okay.
lot in the show.
Eddie,
Ooh.
Oh my
We're talking
goodness.
about sexy Poseidon.
however you interpret that lightning round.
Okay, so a level of hotness, I'm going for the movie guy.
I mean, yeah, the movie Poseidon was much more attractive than.
Because I was like, oh, for daddy issues at that moment.
Thank you for that, Eddie. And last but not least, Percy Jackson,
Disney Plus.
titular character.
Disney Plus.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Disney Plus too. Sorry, Logan Lerman. It was just he was just not delivering lines at all. Like it was just like pulling strings on that one. So that's that.
Yeah, that is that. Damn. Well, what do you guys think? Are you a fan of Percy Jackson? Are you into Greek mythology? Did you make it all the way to this episode? Tell us what you thought. You can tell us what you think by emailing us, remakes.rebootsrevivals@gmail.com. You can hit us up on Instagram @remakesrebootsrevivals. Hit us up on Twitter @remakes podcast. If you search for us for Facebook and YouTube, you could search for Remakes, Reboots, and Revivals. And lastly, if you are listening on a podcasting platform, please go to that right now. Give us a rating. And if you are on Apple Podcasts, you can leave us a review that we can read and bring, smile to our faces. Spread joy.
Yes. Please do.
Please do spread joy.
Yeah.
And happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. And what else?
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Happy President's Day.
Yeah, sure.
Hey, it's one day off for hopefully for you guys, right?
We get a day off.
So enjoy it.
Enjoy it while we can. All right, guys. Well, until next time,
stay unoriginal.